Good morning and welcome back. Welcome back to Who Am I? Here I am again, and we're going to talk about it again. And we're going to think about it, and we're going to talk about it. What are we talking about? Who am I? People act like this is a question that has been answered, done and dusted, and we can just move on and do something else. But I'm telling you, this question has not been answered. Who am I? And how does this work? Where did I come from? Where am I going? What am I made of? How does my design work? What is this medium that I am swimming in? What is this field that connects us, that links us? What is this? How does it work? How do I understand the vibrational frequencies? How do I understand my own vibrational frequencies and how they affect the path of my life? How does that work? All of these questions we have, so many questions, we'll brush on answers. My thesis is that human beings, in general, if they even just put together the information that we have collected so far, just add it up and think about it, we have a certain amount of information to fill in the answers to this question, who am I? And how does this work? If human beings more generally understood, just in general, how it worked, I think that we would get in the way of the divine processes around us less. And we would be able to allow for more of the coherent organizational abundance trying to get to us. We keep getting in the way. We're so frightened. We think we have to be the ones bringing it. We think we have to be the ones who think of it and orchestrate it. And that is actually not true. Our doing it is sort of making it not as good as it could be. And actually, let me correct myself. We have to be the creators that we are. But we would be better creators if we would allow the great organizer to help us in our organization. We could co-create with this magnificent universe like nobody's business. If we would get into alignment with who we are and with what reality is and start co-creating with it. Start co-creating with who you really are and what really surrounds you. For the most part, that's not what we're doing. How you co-create with the biofield that is already in motion around you. How do you do that? Well, maybe that's not exactly the question. The question actually is, who am I? What is my design? What is my design? Well, I'll tell you what your design is. You are a vibrational being in a vibrational universe, and you are a transmitter and a receiver. More than anything else, you are a field phenomenon. You are part of a greater picture. You are not just you. We have been trained to observe the world in a particular way. The odd thing is that the way we have been trained to observe the world is not actually how the world is unfolding. So I blame this on the scientific revolution. It was an inevitable thing that happened as we shifted our focus to the apparent material world. The scientific community, or there was original scientist at the beginning, Galileo, Newton, wherever you want to start. There was Copernicus. There was, what happened was, um, oh man, actually, hold on one second. Okay, I know why I started this conversation. I started this line of because I'm thinking about perspectives and how we look at things. We as a Western society have come to fixate primarily on the physical appearance, the outside, the physicality of the situation. We believe it is primary. The whole paradigm of science sort of assumed primacy to materiality when it began. The way science was born, science actually is, it's a methodology, it's a observation, a repeatability. It's asking questions, and then through physical manipulations, being able to test the answer and then repeat it, which then leads you to extrapolating laws or rules or things that don't change. That's kind of what science is. But there's actually a definition of it, and it does have to do with a way of looking at things, a way of testing things, and a way of being able to repeat them and then declare things about that. I've got this theory, I test it, I observe the results, I draw conclusions. I write these things out, and other scientists can come along behind me and repeat the steps that I did and come up with the same results. Whatever. I think that's science in a nutshell. It is a way that human beings now use to find truth. We find truth through our science. It used to be the church was the main arbiter of truth, and there was a moment. Now we have church and science. They're both out there, and as a matter of fact, there are scientists that go to church. You know, there is blending of these things. But a way back of when, before science, there was just the church. And the church was the one that told the people what was true about life, where we came from, what it all meant, how you were supposed to behave while you were here on this earth in order to maximize whatever, your experience here, your eternity later, whatever. The church was the one that gave us the answers to this. Well, it became very controlling and very oppressive. And it also veered away from actual truth. So it was saying things that weren't true, and it was forcing things that weren't true. And when anyone questioned, the spirit within the church became quite dark. It was burning people for questioning, for disagreeing. And as a matter of fact, it got pretty bad during the Inquisition times. And then what caused it was the physical observances and testimonies, basically, of different scientists that their research was testimony. Galileo and his charting the moons of Jupiter, is basically testimony against the church. In the natural court of existence. And to make a long story short, what happened was, in order to keep the peace, because at some point it's sort of, they had to, the truth was coming out, and the church was starting to feel uncomfortable because of all of the physical observations that were contrary to what they were saying was true about reality. they're forced a split, and what happened was the church went their way, and they said, okay, you can observe and talk about and think about physicality all you want. The physical world, that's science, and the spiritual world, that's us, that's the church. We'll let it go at that. And so it split the conversation. And now religion looks at one aspect of reality, and science looks at another aspect of reality, and they aren't putting it back together. It's caused a kind of schizophrenia. It's caused a kind of permanent schism that needs to be put back together, because there's only one universe. There's one universe. As you look at out in from your eyes and gaze out into the field in front of you, there is a single phenomenon that greets you. And these science and religion are just two aspects of it. They are not entirely different things. They are, for science and religion are as the two wings of a bird, and the bird is mankind, which cannot fly on one wing alone. For the wing of, let me see if I get this right. I got it up on the wall here. For the wing of science, if it lacks the insight of religion to balance it, leads to materialism. And the wing of religion, unguided by the reasonableness of science, leads to superstition. And that is absolutely the truth. Now that quote, I've got it on the wall. It is from Baha'u'llah. I need to write that out onto a document and put it into my OBS studio as one of my slides so that I can pull that one up. There's another, actually on that same picture, I've got another quote, which to me, these two quotes say the same thing. One is in kind of dry, sciencey speak, and the other one is in this flowery, what's the word for the analogies, the metaphorical language. It's actually pretty cool. The other one is an Einsteinian quote who says this, science can only ascertain what is, but not what should be. Though religion determines the goal, it nevertheless learns from science, in the broadest sense, what means will contribute to the goal's attainment. Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. And so, in some ways, we're gonna enter into this territory as we ask the question, who am I? Because the answer, who am I, actually, the answer, I am, it's important. This is important. And it's going to echo back to all of these things, the science, the religion. What the heck is this? Who am I? It's funny. We're all taught these separate religious superstitions, basically. Each religion in their own superstition. There is no general understanding of the general gist of how this vibrational universe works, and how my vibrational equipment works, and how my emotional equipment works, which is basically a vibratory system. It's me vibrating to the universe, and when I cross my own energy, I've got two streams going. One is my source stream, and it just goes, and I have nothing to do with that in a way, because it is me as the allness, and little me cannot change big me. Big me is just flowing with the rest of the field around me. But little me can either get into alignment with big me, or it can flail around in bass-ackwards directions, crossing my own energy stream, which disempowers me, causes negative emotion. Uh, it also creates energetic phenomenon in the field. Things that, if you listen to me, I call it that this is where we create demons. This is how demons are born. This is how Shiva energy comes into our world to upset our peace and our harmony and our ability to co-create lovingly and kindly and cooperatively, synergistically with one another, using this magnificent organizing tool. We could solve every one of our problems if we would line up with this field that we are all one with anyway. If we line up with it, we can use it to our advantage, to our mutual advantage. If we don't line up with it, then we beat ourselves up in the stream. We have a rough ride. We live with chaos, with our neighbors being in chaos. I don't want that. What I want more than anything is a loving, harmonious world that knows itself, that knows who it is. Who am I? So who am I? I started to say we're vibrational beings in a vibrational universe, and I am a transmitter and a receiver unto this same universe. This same vibrational universe is picking up my signals. I am signaling to it, and it is flowing back to me. There's all kinds of things going on. It's quite subtle and but powerful and profound. From what I understand, if you really get sharp about how you use this machinery that we are within, it can get quite spectacular. Now, I myself am a pretty, I'm not a very physical person. I am, but I'm not. I'm barely here. I've got one toe stuck in this material world, and the rest of it is just not to put myself down. Actually, I am on a mission. I am on a mission to help us to understand who we are, because it is my personal personality's thesis that is, as I observe the world, in every single instance, I can see where people having a rough ride or having a hard time in any way, from anything. It's all coming from our being out of alignment. Now, I have one other part to this, to my thesis, because I'm a practical person. I say that I've only got one little toe in this physical world, but that's not true, because I am deeply embedded in the whole thing. And it is my intention, my avowed quest, my purpose, my intention is that I align myself with true reality, with how this field really is producing matter to the very best of my ability. So even though I seem to not be facing reality, I am actually way more in touch with reality than most people that you will meet, because it is my intention to do so. I am doing everything I can to line up with my wholeness, with who we really are. You're a transmitter, you are a receiver, and you are communicating with the universe. And your emotional guidance system is telling you how you are doing vibrationally. What does that mean? How am I doing vibrationally? Well, you want to line up with you are two selves. This is part of my talk every day. And I actually, the show has not exactly found itself. I think as soon as I let more people into the space, and get some feedback as to what is most interesting, or perhaps it's gonna split into two aspects. Where Who am I, parts A and part B. and the two parts, because they feel different to me. One is a psychological explanation of you, your equipment, your emotions, the law of attraction, the quantum universe, the divine matrix, your divine autonomy, your binary system, your vibrational nature, all of that. That's one. Perhaps it's part A. Part B is on a very more, what's the word for this? I can't find the word. It has to do with the nature of this side of the equation, and I can't find the word, so it doesn't matter. I'm not going to hold up the show. The other half of the show is that, folks, we have been lied to. We have been lied to really seriously for over 100 years. And it needs to stop now. And I actually believe that when we stop this, our physical lives are going to get way, way, way better. Because we're going to be able to bloom abundance back into the earth. And its carbon footprint is no longer going to be a problem. Global warming is no longer going to be a question, and we're going to completely understand what part of the global warming equation is a cyclical pattern of, a cosmic nature on the one hand, and what part of it was us exacerbating the problem, because we will quit exacerbating the problem. And the second part of the equation, and what we have been lied about, is we do not need to be burning fossil fuels the way we do. It's almost exclusively where our energy is coming from. And the people who own the system have lied to us about whether we need to be doing this. Now, you could go on and on and on from many, many different directions, and all of these directions I'm talking about, they would all be true directions. You could get really angry about this. You could go on a long discourse talking about the details of all the destruction that has happened on planet Earth because of what they have done to us. You could go for days and weeks following and tracing the specific individuals who are responsible for this outrage through time, by the way, because we're talking over 100 years. The very first one you could be pissed at is J.P. Morgan, who shut Nikola Tesla down when he realized how egalitarian what Tesla was trying to achieve for mankind. And J.P. Morgan didn't want to have anything to do with it because he wanted stuff for himself or for other robber barons or other entrepreneurs. He did not like the idea that Tesla was trying to come up with an energy system that would have granted free, clean energy to everybody. Not to mention a tower that could, a communications tower, a Tesla tower communications-wise. We don't need 5G, people. We don't need to be communicating the same way that we do. We don't need to use wires. There are so many things that are false about what they have told us about the nature of reality. And even now, I feel kind of funny because I'm nobody. I am absolutely nobody, and I'm sitting out here on the outside edge, and there are all kinds of doctorate people coming out of all kinds of grand institutions with their fancy degrees and such, who don't understand that over unity devices are possible because our public education system has led us to believe that it is impossible. And I'll tell you how they did it. So what is an over unity device? It's a device that puts out more energy than it takes to run it. And we believe that that's impossible. You say that to a conventionally educated person with doctorate degrees. What? And they'll say, that doesn't sound right. And the reason it doesn't sound right, the reason that is because you can't create energy. You can't create energy from nothing. Energy, and actually, an over unity device isn't creating energy from nothing. Actually, it's assuming a closed system for one thing, and there is no such thing as a closed system. There is no such thing as a closed system because the entire thing is a connected field. And so, and uh, uh, in the description of my show, the very first thing that I put in there is a link to a movie that I think is really important. That everybody, whoever watches my show, please go watch this movie, because this is the extent of the travesty that the hole that we are in, the paradigm of lack, the everything from worldwide poverty and starving children, war, garbage island, six mass extinction, growing deserts. Uh, that's enough. Add any others in there. War. War. Well, I already said war. How about criminals? Criminality, criminal behavior, murder, discord in general. Everything from traffic snarls to there just isn't anything that is not being created by us not understanding who we are. And a whole lot of this is being caused by our burning fossil fuels. If we didn't burn fossil fuels, now a lot of people think we have a false choice. We either burn fossil fuels and continue to power our civilization to the energetic degree that we have become accustomed to. You know, turning a switch and the air conditioning cools the house in a hot land. You know, or we jump into our car and we drive, take off down the road, or all the things that we have come to. We travel fast. We're jet setting. We're world travelers. We're all that kind of thing. We don't want to give it up and have to go back to an agrarian society, trim our population, and finite ourselves. When we are not creatures like that, we are not finite creatures, and it's a false choice to think that we have to either burn fossil fuels or go back to an agrarian society. We don't have to do that. We can actually fuel our society in a way better, more powerful, more energetic way than we have ever done so before. But we gotta understand the truth of our situation. So now the interesting thing is you get to this point where you realize, oh my God, we have been lied to a really massive degree. Now when you turn and face the problem, you might be in a negative state. If you're in a negative state, then you have unplugged yourself from source. If you are unplugged from source, then you no longer can help the situation. You really have to find your way back to your happy thought if you're even going to help us get out of this situation. It's always the problem. It's always the problem when you try to heal the world. When you turn to a broken world, it immediately turns you into it flips you to a negative state. And from that negative state, you can no longer heal the world. So what's the answer here? The answer here is you got to see that it's not a broken world. And actually, if you start focusing on this in a particular way, you not only see how magnificent we are, the setup is, the paradigm, the universe, the situation, the possibility. You see how positive it is. You're like, oh my gosh. Oh, ooh, is that what it is? Ooh, okay, okay. So the real problem is we don't know who we are. But if we did know who we are, now we can turn back to that same problem. I hope I'm not way over. It's too late. I have turned this to the volume that it is. I can't change it now, or it will change. The whole show needs to at least be equal to itself. I don't want it to all of a sudden change to a lower volume. Even if I'm at a higher volume, everyone has adjusted if they're listening to me now. So, what am I actually saying here? So, who am I? Who am I? I'm a number of things. First of all, I'm a human being. I'm a member of the human species. And the human being is a magnificent creature. It is both each individual, autonomous individuals capable of going it alone and doing the whole thing by themselves or working it out within their own minds, and calling their own shots and going their own way, kind of thing. Both autonomous individuals within the system, and yet each a cell in a superorganism that we can call. All of the gurus of the day they're calling it different things, but you can tell it's the same thing. They're calling it humanity with a capital H, or mankind with a capital M, or um, I think uh, uh, I've heard it called other things too, phrases, the superhuman, or the, I don't know. It is us as we with a capital W. Um, we are both. And as such, so actually, hold on one second. I'm going to pause for just a second. Remember that the question is, who am I? And I know what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to this idea that we have huge problems that are actually not problems at all. And we can turn and face our problems and fix them, but unfortunately, when we turn and face the problems, we can't fix them anymore because we unplug from source. And understanding this whole situation, you got to understand that what you have to do is turn and face how cool we are, the really cool setup that we are swimming in, and focus on working on how to summon from this great almighty universe what it is that we want out of it, instead of getting all of this crap that we don't want. And we seem to think that it's bigger than us in the sense that we don't have any control over what crap is coming to us. Yes, there is a paradigm out there way bigger than us individually, on the one hand. And yet, this paradigm that is so much bigger than all of us individually is actually attached in its wholeness to each one of us individually, and designed to bring each one of us individually to what we want individually, aligned with ourselves collectively to get us where we want to be collectively. Did you get any of that? It's confusing. We have to individually get there and not worry about whether collectively we're getting there or not. But we will get there. So where are we going? We're going to a place I'm going to call general alignment. And this general alignment is going to really pay off. Really, really, really pay off. And it's going to be fun, because life is supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be fun, and I'm supposed to be connected to my inner self, my inner being, my vibrational greater self. So let's talk for a minute about who am I? Who am I is the question of the day. It's the question of every day. And the reference is, who am I in reference to this thing I call source energy? Now, I call it source energy. Some people are going to call it the G word. I'm not going to use the G word because most people have that word already defined in their head. And when they hear the word, their own pictures of the definition of this word, and not necessarily the concept I'm trying to talk about. Their own pictures leap into their own minds. And now they're talking about one thing and I'm talking about something else, and we miscommunicate. And so I'm not going to use the G word. The S word has been less misused. And I also want to talk about it I want to describe what it's doing and how you relate within it, and how you operating your own equipment and have faith in the situation, have faith in the process, and understand that your faith can be mathematically grounded. Ground your faith in the mathematics of this holographic universe. This holographic universe means that allness is everywhere. You have the information and the energy flow of the entire system everywhere. It's everywhere. It's in all of your atomic structure. That's where it is. So it exists in every one of your atoms, in every one of your protons. You are connected to this matrix in a way that is so breathtaking and so beautiful. And if you understood how this universe worked, understand the law of attraction, understand how it really works, understand how it truly connects to real physics, to real mathematics, to how the universe is actually connected to itself, connected to each other. I don't even know if either one of those expressions is adequate. Connected to itself, connected to each other. Connected to each other, imagine separate parts. And there are separate parts, but all of those separate parts are part of the wholeness, and there is only one wholeness, and this wholeness is holographic. And that holographic nature is how you can believe that there really is a G word. Don't want to use that word. S word. I use that one all the time. It is your source. You are connected to all things. You are inextricably connected to all things. A lot of us want to fight to become more united. We couldn't be more united. Actually, those aren't the words I usually use, and I don't know why I decided to throw that sentence in there. It's not the best place where the energy flows. So, how do we want to go about solving this problem? What problem are we solving? We're going to solve every problem that humanity has, and I think that that's how you have to do it. You have to go for the whole thing. You can't do it piecemeal. You can't go in without this understanding and try to individually solve individual problems out there in the field. You can't do it. You gotta go to the source of the problem. So actually, I've been feeling these impulses to change this screen here that I've got. So I'm going to change it to this one right here. This is what the Buddhists believe are the root causes of all suffering. They all come from this, not knowing what's real. And then when you don't know what's real, then you grasp and cling to the unreal. And you can be afraid of the unreal and recoil from it, even though it's not real. It's not real. But you're afraid of it and you're recoiling it. And actually this causes other problems, because when you are doing that, you're out of alignment with the fourth one is identifying with an imaginary self. I actually take this one as more of overly identifying with your expirational self is an enormous cause of suffering. And when you do that, actually, when you think that you're the only one in the picture, your physical self, when you think your physical mind is the only one in the picture, when you think that expirational aspect of yourself, your meat suit, that's going to expire because meat expires, that meat suit, when you think that that's the only one that you are, you're identifying with just that one, and it causes you to be afraid because, well, you'd be afraid too if meat was all you were. And then you become afraid of death. None of these things should be true. If you knew who you really were, you wouldn't be frightened. If we knew who we really were, we would not be frightened. We are eternal beings, people, and we don't just live this life for this one moment that you have your life. And then as soon as you stop living life, you leave the exercise of life and you go over to the other side, and now you're just in the exercise of angels. Because that's not how the setup is. There is only life. There is only this side. However, you don't have to be in a meat suit, but it's still this side. It's life. It's life. It's life. You're either participating in life from the vantage point of a living biological being from within a meat suit, or not everything's made of meat. Some things are made of rock. Other things are made of who am I? Isn't that a good question? Who am I? What part of me am I? So this is, if you're a fan of the show, you know that this is one of my favorite slides. It's boring as hell. But it symbolizes something to me. It symbolizes, this is the picture that I have chosen to illustrate your two aspects. You have two minds. And one of them you know about. One of them you're living in. One of them you're listening to me from this mind right now. It's the one on the right, the small aperture. That's your physical mind looking at your specific life from your specific eyes, from your specific body, through your specific mind, which is also vibrational, by the way. Your mind is vibrational. Your thoughts are vibrational. And can actually be read, not like read like, so I can read your thoughts, but you can read the electromagnetic activity anyway coming from your mind, your physical mind, through a magnetoencephalogram. Now, your source mind is also vibrational. But your whole source self is just this pure vibration. It's the reverberation of the universe. But your source mind is connected to all that and connected to all reality everywhere through this cosmic holographic interference pattern, as all of the Plancks jiggle with one another, reading each other's information, transferring each other's information across all the scales. Everything has all the information. The allness is everywhere. The legends are true. The universe is alive, and it is also aware. And there is such a thing as universal consciousness. And you can see the feedback, the mathematics of all of this can be seen in Nassim Haramein's work, as he unified quantum and cosmological physics through mathematics back in 2012, as a matter of fact, and he's been publishing papers and doing stuff ever since. If you look at the description of and I'm going to go here really, really quick. I have to say this every day because I put it in my video every day. And I want to explain to you what it is. This is the description of my video. This is the, I'm air quoting, description of my video. This is not a description of my video. This is just the only place that I know where to put links. It's like my way of handing you a cosmic playlist. And it has that The Last Century and How to Reclaim It. That is the documentary talking about the history of the lying to us that they have done about our energy source. And because we burn fossil fuels, they have us by the short and curlies. And because business and our government and our education systems and our whole, all everywhere where we come together as a we, all of that is corrupted in a sense, and it's all in bed together. Um, they have lied to us about what is possible. And anyway, The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. This is the documentary of over a century of the brutal suppression of all kinds of great, great, fabulous ideas that could have incrementally all along the way, could have incrementally kept us off of the way we use fossil fuels now at an absolute monstrous level. Back in the 50s, before they knew that it would be wrong to brag about such a thing, unless it was the 60s, it says it somewhere in this movie, The Lost Century. The fossil fuel industry was bragging about how much fossil fuels they burned every day, enough to melt icebergs and such. Well, they don't brag about such things anymore because that's not seen as a good thing. So let's go really quickly through my list of things on this, my description of the video. Link to Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity video, 37-minute video that explains the paper that is listed farther down, Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity. This tells us mathematically how reality is coming into being and what gravity, the force of gravity, actually is. When we really understand this paper all the way down to the soles of our feet, we will be free of gravity. We will conquer gravity. We're getting off the surface of the planet, and we no longer have to slather the surface of the planet in concrete and asphalt and run our fossil fuel running cars. We do not have to live the paradigm that it seems like we have to, because when you look around in your everyday world and you look at the reality of what we've got and what we have created over the last century, it seems like a level of momentum to this infrastructure that we could not possibly ever overcome. But I'm telling you right now, first of all, we have to, because if we don't, we're going to kill the planet. We are snipping the threads of life so fast. We are engaged in the literal sixth mass extinction of the biofield of planet Earth right now. We need to stop it. We need to stop it. Now, it makes me want to turn and, face the villains responsible for this travesty, but there's another problem here. On the one hand, we do need to operate with... we do need to do some practical things on the ground, but I don't think we actually need to push back against those who have done this to us, other than the fact that they've got all of the physicists working for them. All of the physicists are working in conventional labs. How do we get them into the labs of the International Space Federation or the Resonance Science Foundation or whatever? And I have another problem with this, and that is a lot of this is resting on the personality of a single human being, which is Nassim Haramein, and what happens if he turns out to be a human being and has some kind of frailty or whatever. Other people are going to just disregard all of his mathematics, and that's stupid. They're going to say, oh, well, all the things that he was saying must be wrong because he, is a sexual deviant or something. I just made that up, by the way. He probably isn't a sexual deviant. He's probably a magnificent human being. I have never met the man. I just wouldn't want all of the future of mankind ever to be resting on the personality of a single human being. Don't like that. Don't want that. I love Nassim, as a matter of fact, and I point to a lot of his work. As a matter of fact, if you go on a little bit farther, the connected universe, That is a movie. It was narrated by Patrick Stewart. It was made back in 2016. It's all about the mathematics that connects the quantum and the cosmological universe. You may not have heard that because they didn't come out on NBC and say, hey, stop the presses. Everything has changed now because quantum and cosmological physics has been unified, and guess what it's saying? It's saying that we are all one, that there is such a thing as universal consciousness and we all have access to it. It's saying that the universe is connected, that it's holographic, that everything that I do, that you not only have the information of, but stuff that I'm doing over here is affecting what you're doing over there. We are a field phenomenon. You can't avoid it. And yet, on the other hand, we are all divinely autonomous and each can call his own path. It's all of that sort of thing. So anyway, the next thing I have here is Living in the Future's Past. That's a kind of different, it's another documentary movie. It's Jeff Bridges. And it's actually a very interesting, he narrates it. It's talking about us as made of oil and us as a super organism on the planet. And it's actually trying to see us from a larger perspective, from a broader perspective. And in that sense, it's really good. I put in Butterfly Dreaming, just go check it out. The Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity paper, and then the last thing is the Whirling Dervishes video. Just go check out all those things. They're just my little playlist. So we're going to go back to this slide, as boring as it is. It says so much, I can't get away from this slide. This is you. You have to understand that this is you. And which one of these two yous do you think is bigger? Your individual self or the you that you are as a bigger self? Which one is bigger? My smaller self or my bigger self? And yet they are both me. They are both me. And we as human beings are capable of, in our physical minds, taking a broader perspective because we have the template there. The template is there because of the nature of reality itself. Most of us are just not using this. We are just assuming that the only perspective that we can accurately hit is our small one. It's not realizing we actually have a broader perspective that we can populate. We can populate with physical thoughts in alignment with how our inner being has aligned everything with physical thoughts. Heck, your inner being is more in touch with physical reality than you could imagine. You think it's just in touch with spirit reality or whatever. No, your inner being is deeply, deeply embedded in physical reality everywhere. That's what your inner being is doing, is physical reality everywhere. It's what it's echoing is physical reality, where all the physicals are. What is a physical? It's a proton. That's a little bit of matter coming into this space. What is it actually? What is a proton? It's a little vortex of Plancks spinning. And that's all anything is. There is nothing that you are seeing in any kind of appearance of material reality anywhere that is not this same thing, which is this ether of Plancks spinning. What's a Planck? A Planck is a pixel. It's a pixel unto this pixelated universe. And all of the Plancks are reflecting each other, by the way. They undoubtedly are all the way to the Planck level, but they certainly are all at the proton level. Now, within the Planck field of every proton is, it's this one right here. This is a snapshot from the paper, the emergence of mass and the nature of gravity. And we really need to understand this, people. And I think we need to We need to take it upon ourselves because our government ain't going to do it for us. And our national sciences aren't, they might eventually do it for us, but it's going to be so long. I think we're going to burn into a cinder before our national sciences, the way they are structured with the education system that we've got, with the industrial, financial, capital system that we've got going on right now, in bed with the government system that we've got going on right now. It's really not, it's like all of that whole system, somewhere in there is where the people are who've been trying to keep us from understanding this. Go watch the movie, The Lost Century. I don't know who they are. They are black ops deeply embedded somewhere within our government. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and my formula for solving this issue is not let's go find who those black ops people are and let's screw them to the wall. Let's nail them to the wall. Let's hang them from the yard arm. Let's, whatever. Because this brings me to something that I always have to bring up. There is only one of us here. There is no us and them. There is no enemy. There is no someone else who is perpetrating all of these crimes. It is all humanity. It is all us. And we've got to quit. We are a single field phenomenon. And when I split in one way, it causes other things to split around me. And so I have to bring myself back to wholeness by stopping the madness now and saying there is only one of us here. And we can only make a solution that includes all of us. I used to believe in a meritocracy. And I have come to believe that a meritocracy, although I think that we should celebrate achievement and celebrate what should we be celebrating? I think that there's problems with the meritocracy because it implies that if you do not accomplish something, that you're not worth anything. And that could not be farther from the truth. If you are here on this planet, you are worth something. You are here for a reason. You are an integral part of the whole, and yet you are a wholeness unto yourself. There was a group of human beings last century who tried a little project in subtraction, who tried to, they had a philosophy which was, if only this one group or this several groups of people did not exist, then all would be perfect and well and fine, and we would have a fabulous life on this planet for 1,000 years. They thought that. And so they went about this great project of subtraction. Let's just eliminate this group of people and all will be well. Well, we remember how that turned out. It didn't actually turn out that well. And we don't want to try that again because subtraction is not the answer. Addition is the answer. You've got to add it all up. You've got to add everybody in. You've got to understand that your neighbor is your unknown self made visible. And there's other things, there's other deep truths that the scientific community never talks about. Why would they talk about this? Because this doesn't seem scientific, but it is part of the truth that is around you, which is that only the love is real. All of the rest of what you're looking at is not, I've got to air quote this because I don't even know how to, I don't know how to communicate this without air quoting it. Only the love is real. Now, I'm not saying the other stuff is there, but it isn't real. Only the love is real. Where do I get that from? I get that from a course in miracles, actually, which my daughter and I were starting to study this. We had joined it was a study group. It met every week, as a matter of fact, every Wednesday or maybe it was Monday, every Monday night at the local um, community center. And then COVID shut the world down. And right as COVID shut the world down, I found the law of attraction and was able to study that for the whole year of COVID while I didn't participate in anything. We didn't travel, we didn't go out to eat, we didn't have holidays, we didn't see our family, we didn't go anywhere, we didn't do anything. We stayed in our homes. And you know what? I did it joyfully. I know some people did it sadly. They were forced to do it, and they didn't have their own minds to keep them company. I was actually thrilled to death with being able to withdraw from the world for a bit, because I had been thinking for the longest time, we are barreling relentlessly to the edge of a cliff that we're going to throw ourselves off and die. And nothing seems to stop us. We always do the same thing. Nothing changes our behavior. And then, miraculously, something changed our behavior. And we all changed for a whole year. And then when we started coming out of it, what I vowed to myself was, it was like, well, so for a while I was really pleased. I thought, this is the beginning of changes, and it's gonna, we come back out of it, this is gonna be better. We're gonna be different. Now we are somewhat different. We're not there yet. We still don't know who we are, and there's, in a lot of ways, a lot of things are getting worse, which I don't focus on, so I'm not very well versed in what those bad things are. I'm actually spend so much of my time focused on what I want and who I am and where I'm going and who we are, that I have a hard time really keeping track of the actual state of negative affairs. The truth of the matter, just know this: well-being outweighs anything else by like 99.9 to 1. For sure. Actually 99.9 to zero point 0.1. It outweighs, and maybe that might even be understating how much the well-being outweighs the not well-being. It might be like 100 to 0 in the end, because well-being will win, because expansion will happen, because the universe will learn. And you are the universe. You are the whole universe. And then you are mankind. And then you are your nation. And then you are your state. And then you are your city, your neighborhood, your family, your religion, your bowling team. You are your... And then you are you. Individually you. So, where does this leave us? Where are we in the narrative? Well, I'm just a teacher, and I just want to show us as a people what the setup that we are sitting in is. And when you understand the setup, now start the movie, turn and look at what you're looking at, and go, hit yourself on the forehead and go, oh, that's what I'm looking at. Now I know what to do. What is it that you do? Well, first of all, it's really important that only the love is real, and that there is only one of us here. And if you want to see who's really here, see only the love in So you think that the other political party is the problem. or you think that the criminals are the problem, or you think that those bad people are the problem, or you think that what the actual problem is on the ground is the polarity. The polarity itself, there's a duality, there's a thing that happens, and it happens in the human mind. This is where it happens in the human mind. The actual problem with any of us, there's only one problem that we've got, and that is misalignment with our source. So I wish I had a better, because I could come up with some imagery that would show you how these two minds, because I'm now pointing at the picture in front of us. Of course, nobody can see me pointing at these pictures saying this, 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 this. This picture's been up for a while. Who knows what I'm talking about? But I'm pointing at it now, saying these two minds, think of them as spinning discs of attraction, except for they're not exactly discs. Think of it more like look at the disc of I'm thinking of a cosmological celestial being, like a quasar with the jets. Is that what has the jets, the big jets going? And there's a big disc in the center, and you can see the jets that anchor it. It's like the pole in the center of the axis of the spin of the big galaxy or whatever it is that I'm thinking about. I can't remember. I need to go get a picture of one, and I need to screen capture it. Absolutely. I'm going to do this just as soon as I stop recording. That's a lovely, because I can add that picture. It's actually more like a grounded spinning spiral of, no, what is it like? I don't know. I need to come up with some more visual imagery to help, though, because this is just lame. This picture that I show all the time is just lame. It's freaking camera aperture, one wide open and one tightly shut. But the thing I like about the one that's tighter in, the smaller one on the right, is because of the aperture, the lens structure. You can imagine that one spinning. Well, the other one's spinning too. They're both spinning. And they're both attracting from the universe to you cooperative components to things that you desire. Your desire is an ignition. It's an ignition factor and a connecting factor to all of the rest of the universe. The universe is hearing your desire. And if you would focus upon your desire and what your desire feels like, the good feeling that your desire feels like, not the bad feeling that the absence of the reality of your desire feels like. So, what you have to feel what you want feels like, and then the universe will give it to you. But if you feel like what it feels like when you lack that, then the universe gives you the lack. It's funny, the universe is responding to human emotion. And this brings me to the part where I believe that someone has granted us this higher emoting ability. Somebody has bumped us along in the evolutionary process. So I'm going to come to this slide. This slide here, this is one of my favorite slides. I have to show it every day. It shows the neocortex, which is, think of it as your overview, your overmind, your broader perspective, physical mind's ability to look at the broader picture. It is why human beings can think of yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and somebody who is in another country than where I am, and what's going on over there, and why we can think bigger than just where our physical bodies are and what is physically around our physical selves. why we have the ability to think in our physical minds bigger than our physical bodies. That's the neocortex gives that to us. Well, 76% of the neocortex volume comes from human chromosome number 2, which is a fused chromosome. And as a matter of fact, the genetics on this looks very, very fishy. Extremely fishy. Back in 1991, some geneticists did an analysis of human chromosome number 2 and concluded that it's 2 chromosomes fused together. Not only that, it's 2 previously ape chromosomes, which when fused become human. Specifically, it says exactly this. We conclude that the locus cloned in... It's basically, we conclude that all of the stuff that we've been studying and describing to you in this paper, which if you were a geneticist, you'd understand the nomenclature that they're using, but if you aren't, so we conclude that this is the relic of an ancient telomere to telomere fusion and marks the point at which 2 ancestral ape chromosomes fused to give rise to human chromosome number 2. Very interesting. I think someone has bumped us, and I think it's part of what our problem is. Because we don't understand how our equipment works, our emotions are singing loud and clear to this cosmic quantum field, to this divine matrix that we are swimming in. And when we cry out in our negativity, that's what the universe locks onto and starts handing us all this crap. So we've got to learn. We've got to learn how to focus, because it is our focus that is bringing the universe to us, that is bringing reality to us. The way we are focusing is everything. We got to learn how to focus better. Quit focusing on the problem. Start focusing on the solution. Quit focusing on what we've got that we are unhappy about, and start learning to focus on that which we want, which may not already be in existence, by the way, people. We may be learning to focus on things that are not here yet. And how do you do it? Well, you daydream. Quit doing it with our physical minds, thinking that we have to come up with it. We will be inspired to the answers. And so in a way, we will come up with the answers. But it's not our physical brains that are going to come up with it. It's going to be a co-creation between our physical minds and the downloads coming from our broader perspective vibrational selves. That's what our imagination is a download from our higher self to our lower self. You could think of this picture as the big one is your higher self and the small one is your lower self. But I don't even like higher and lower. It's bigger and smaller. It's scales. It's scales of information. And you are both of them. You are both the small scale and the large scale. And they are informing each other. And actually, this is exactly what Nassim Haramein has discovered about the nature of the universe. It is scalar. It is scaling at these astronomical scales. Like it goes from the Planck from the subplonk to the Planck is the same scale as from the Planck to the universe. Enormous scale. Because actually to go from the Planck to the proton is an enormous scale. To go from the proton to the anything physical that you're looking at around you, like from the proton to your physical body, that's an enormous leap. Now go from your physical body to the size of a planet. There's a leap. From the planet to the sun and the solar system. There's another big leap. Now go from the solar system, now leap into the size of the galaxy. Woo! Big scale. From the galaxy, now you jump up to the cluster of galaxies. And now we're talking billions of galaxies in a single cluster. It's like, wow. Now you go all the way out to the universe, and then you can go from there to the multiverse. It's so big, people, that we're supposed to quit trying to look at it from the outside. It's supposed to be so ridiculously large that we give it up on that one side and go, well, that's not the way to traverse it. How do you traverse it? You traverse it from the inside. Do it through the small, because the same infinity of information exists in the small as exists in the large. And how do you have access to it? Well, it's through your own consciousness, by the way. This is all going to go to consciousness studies, but it's appropriate in a question called it's an appropriate question in the middle of a show called Who Am I? Who am I? Who am I? I am these two beings, by the way. I am these two minds. They are both me. The one on the left is the one that carries the continuum of me, who I always am, who I am connected to in the field around me. This is me always. The other one is just me today. But they both come together and comprise the system that is me. And the larger self, my source self, is always positive. Always, 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 always positive. As a matter of fact, not just positive. Your eternal source self connected to all things is liquid love. There is nothing but love there. That's why only the love is real. The rest are shadows created by the configuration of the human mind. There is only love. Only love exists. The rest of it is it's you getting out of alignment with your two minds. It's you believing a shadow self that isn't real. And when your loved ones come at you, and maybe they're having a dark moment and they act darkly at you, and maybe they're angry and they say something hurtful or whatever, you've got to know, you've got to see past that. You've got to not even look at the one who's saying the dark, because if you believe that one, if you believe that person that says the dark things in front of you, if you're like, oh my gosh, you've really disillusioned me, I thought you loved me, but now I realize that you're just this whatever, that's not true. It's never true. Never, ever, ever, ever true. Don't see their darkness. Don't see. That is them in misalignment. And they are... they have let a demon drive their meat vehicle. Actually, I don't like to call it a meat vehicle. I call it an HBV. It's your human being vehicle, and it's comprised of your two elements. One is your vibrational aspect, in touch with all things real, all truth, all reality, all of who you are, all of everything you have ever been. This is your continuum to it. That's what your source side is. The other side is, well, wherever you are looking. So you got your HBV is comprised of your two aspects, your physical self, your vibrational self. Both of them add together to be this vehicle that is driving you and your life forward. And how do you drive it? How do you know what direction you're going? You got to pay attention. Close your eyes and forget what you're looking at. The reality, I'm air quoting it again, the reality of what is around you is, how it lines up is debatable. That there is reality around you, okay, I'm going to grant it to you. But what is it is up for debate. Now, all I know is I know how to drive your equipment. And it is really, really important. It is more important that you feel good than that you stare at the physical reality around you. As a matter of fact, if you're looking at something that doesn't look good, I would... how do I say this? I don't mean to be irresponsible. And actually, I, more than anybody I know, is actually in touch with reality. That was probably not a nice thing to say. But I am in touch with reality as much as it doesn't seem like I am. Even when I tell you, quit facing reality, that's actually facing reality. True reality. If you want to make a better reality, quit facing the one you've got that you don't like and start daydreaming about one that you do like, because you're not understanding how the universe is working to grant you what you want. A combination of the focus of your attention upon what you want combined with a positive emotion about it is enough to bring it to you. But you've got to be able to accomplish it. You've got to be able to look at what you want and so interesting. So anyway, where are we? What is this? Where are we left? Um, this slide tells me this is a small explanation about how your brakes and your gas pedal work in your HBV. This vehicle that you are flying through life in. When you go specific, that's you moving faster. When you go general, you are not moving as fast. That's one of the reasons my life has not moved all that fast for the last few years. It's kind of moseying a little bit slow, and I kind of want it that way because I am a very general person. I'm general, and I have a hard time finding specific things that I even want to deal with. Most specific things I am not interested in dealing with. I have come to this one specific thing that I'm really interested in. And this specific thing that I'm interested in is how this works. How this big system that we are in, how it works, how my psychology functions, what history is all about, what my God nature is, what source energy is, what that all means, what will bring mankind to the solution to all of his problems. Well, first of all, his problems are being caused by his very resistant nature. And if we could just twinkle our nose and get him to just relax and know that we are in the hands of God and things are being taken care of, we would be all right. But that's not how we are. We have grasped onto the physical aspect of things, and it's like the quotes that I started the show with. We are the science and religion are as the two wings of a bird, and we're trying to fly on either one wing or the other. We've got the religious people out there who don't believe in science, who are trying to fly on that wing, and then we've got the science people who don't believe in religion, who are trying to fly on that wing. And quite frankly, the science people without the religion people, they're running into materialism. And the people over on the religious side, without the reasonableness of the science and math to back it up, are flailing in deep superstition. And I would like to see this resolve, honestly. I would like to see us flying on both wings. And let's understand that basically these are the two wings. These are the two wings. One is the it's sort of an analogy to the two wings. You've got to use both of your both your material side and your vibrational side to understand any given picture. You got to link your head and your heart. That's another there's lots of duality out there that you got to pull together to see the wholeness that we are. So where am I left? where am I left with? Do I have anything more to say today? I would love to have somebody talk to me and ask me questions about where all of this, all I'm doing is adding it all up. Adding, 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 adding. There is no subtraction in this universe of addition. As a matter of fact, that's the answer. There is no subtraction in this universe of addition. So, I see a lot of shows. Doctor Who does this one a lot, and Star Trek does this a lot. They do this thing where they are saving the existential structure of the universe, which is at risk because of something or other. Time travel or something is going to erase my timeline or whatever. I go back in time and then I kill my father, and then how do I get born? The fact is that you can't subtract anything. Nothing can ever be subtracted. It can be added, expanded, continued, but it can't be subtracted. And so the universe is never in that kind of danger. And there's plenty of universes. There's foaming, infinite universes. It's all mental anyway. It's all places that your mind can go. There is only one universe, and all of the consciousnesses are just, it's life, experiencing your life as you hit a different vantage point on that same oneness. It's actually not at all what we think it is. It's perfectly secure. It's perfectly safe. Only the love is real. It goes on and on forever. You can do anything you want with it. All you have to do is learn how to focus. Your focus is the most important aspect of anything you do. Your focus and attention is the very currency of consciousness. It's the very currency of the universe. It is the engine of all things. How you are looking at it is more important than anything else. And so whenever we look at the troubles of the world, that's the problem. We look at the troubles of the world and then we see a broken world, and then our stomach drops out. We go into a state of negative emotion. We disconnect from source, and now we don't have the ideas that we need to fix what we're looking at, which is not actually a broken world, but rather a misunderstood one. The world is working absolutely perfect. It is working exactly the way it is designed to do. The problem is we are not co-creating with it properly. We are not aligning with our source nature. We are not aligning with the field around us. We are not aligning with life itself. We are not understanding that there is only one of us here, that there is no us and them, that the true enemy is the polarity itself. The true enemy is us not understanding what's real, and grasping and clinging to the unreal, and recoiling from the unreal, and overly identifying with the expirational aspect of ourselves instead of knowing that we are an eternal self forever and ever and ever. A continuum that is connected to all things, and connected to ourselves, by the way, and the only part of ourselves that is real is the love. So quit noticing all the places where you are not love, and then stop and flog. You're stopping to flog yourself for all the places where you are not love, because that's the way your focus is. You're focusing on what's wrong with yourself, and where you didn't add up, and where you aren't measuring up, and you didn't do that well, and you're no good. Whenever you in your light turn and focus in that direction, you cut yourself off from your source. You unplug immediately, because your source is never looking at you like that. Your source loves you so much. Loves you so much. Needs you to be living your life, making your choices, banging around out here in physicality and doing your best. Needs you to be doing that, to be what she is. You need her. She needs you. She loves you so much. If you would get into alignment with the love that she has for you and others, you would get the great ideas about how to co-create with the rest of this field to the benefit of us all. How to get us out of all of our problems, how to create those over unity devices, how to plug directly into source energy so that every single one of us has clean, free energy that we can plug into the source of all things anywhere. No wires, no meters, no capitalization. We don't need it. And with that, I think I'm going to leave it for the day. I didn't cover absolutely everything, but I covered enough for one day. Tomorrow, I may be more inspired to go into the mathematics more. Explain to you how the Planck field of every proton is actually reflecting the information of every proton in all of the universe. And stuff like that. Our understanding things like that, our understanding the law of attraction, our own special nature, the way someone has given us these emotions, that when we align our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions together and focus upon what we want, the universe is designed to cough it up for us. It's like a big genie in a bottle. It's like a big 3D printer, but it works through our focus. And with that, I'm going to leave you till tomorrow. I hope that that was a good enough show that you're excited, you're interested, you want to listen to me some more. If you are a tech genius or interested in my material and can offer some way to make my show better, someday I would like to collaborate with you because I do believe that this is the answer. This is just a little tweak. It's just a little thing. And then there are so many things that human beings already do correct. That are all, and as a matter of fact, even our laboratories of technology have belched out many, many, many technologies that are so beneficial. We have already invented all the technologies that we need to solve every one of our problems. All we need now is a clean, free energy source to drive it all. We can desalinate ocean water. We can resequester carbon. We can recycle Garbage Island. We can rebloom the deserts. We can re-garden Eden. And that is my prayer, that is my wish, that is my intention. I would like for us as humanity to re-find the abundance that courses through not just our veins, but courses through every vibration of the universe is laced with abundance. And we have somehow created this lack in a universe of abundance. We can absolutely find our way back to abundance, and it is my hope and prayer that we do so. It is my intention that I help us do so. We just need to change a little bit of our understanding of ourselves. Who am I? And what is my alignment to who I really, really am? And what I really want and where I'm really going and all of that. And so with that, for today, I leave you. And until tomorrow, I wish you well. I bid you peace. I love you so much. You who are a part of myself. And until I see you next, may the source be with you.